Alrighty, cherubs, so today we're going to be making a potion bottle. First we want to start with a slab. We don't want to use the quarter or the half-inch sticks that we were using. We don't want to use those, they're too fat. We're going to use these quarter-inch ones, which are much skinnier. So it's going to give us a much thinner slab. Once we've rolled out our slab, we're going to mist it and use the wooden rib to smooth it out. Make sure it has no creases or folds or cracks or divots. Now I'm going to take a template page. This one is for the ends and this is for the side. I have different shapes, and there's different shapes that correspond to it for the sides as well. Different sides are going to have different sizes. For this tutorial, I'm going to do the triangle, so I want to take a felt tip marker, and I'm going to trace around the shape that I want. So I just take that felt tip marker, I trace around the edges, and for good measure, I'm going to do it twice. Now I'm going to take the sides and I find the one that lines up with the triangle, so it's labeled triangle side, and so I'm going to trace that one too with the felt tip marker. Pull that off. Now I'll take the marker side and I'm going to put it down onto the clay, and with my wooden rib I'm going to smooth it out just so that the clay absorbs some of that marker ink. Smooth it out, then peel it off. And you can see how the marker ink transfers onto the clay surface. Now I'm going to do that again. So I want a top and a bottom for my bottle. So I want two shapes, and because I'm doing a triangle, I need three sides. If I were doing a different size bar, different shaped bottle, then I would use more sides. So I'm going to copy this 3 times. Now what I'm going to do is take my wooden knife, you can also use an X-Acto knife or one of the needle tools, and I'm going to cut out my shapes. Using the wooden knife to do this, it creates a little bit of a ridge on the edges, so I'm going to go back later and smooth those down. If you're using the X-Acto knife, it's not going to make such a big ridge on that side. Now I'm going to take all that excess clay and peel it away and set it aside. Now I've got my shapes. They're all cut out. And I just want to put them on a tray, on a cafeteria tray. Now these have to dry. They have to get leather hard. They're too soft right now to assemble. So I want them to get leather hard, so I'm just going to let them sit for about an hour at least before I try and assemble them. Here we are back an hour later. They're leather hard now. I pick them up and they're not floppy, so I know that they're good to go. Now I'm going to take an X-Acto knife, and what I want to do is bevel the edges. So I'm going to cut the edges, all the sides on all the shapes at a 45-degree angle. Cutting it in air like this is a bad idea. So what I'm going to do is put it down on the tabletop, angle my X-Acto knife at roughly a 45-degree angle, and cut. So again, we're just beveling these edges so they're diagonal. If we try and put these together at a 90-degree angle, it's not going to work. That's not going to work. So we want them to be beveled, and they'll fit together so much better. So now I'm going to bevel all the sides on all the shapes. Just like that. See, now it's going to fit together very, very nicely. If I leave the edges at a 90-degree angle, what's going to happen is that the sides won't actually meet up, because I have to put them the way it has to get assembled, then the sides won't meet up, and it's going to be an awkward fit. So beveling the pieces here makes them fit together perfectly. Now I'm going to take my comb, and I'm going to score the edges. And now I want to use some slip, and I want to give it some good pressure to attach it. Use my wooden knife to stitch it together. Stitching with hard slab is very, very important. You need to stitch it together to make it work. The slip is not magical. It has no magical properties, so you need to use the stitching to hold this together. Now what I'm going to do is use some coiling to put on the inside of my corners so I have a little bit more to stitch on the inside. Again, just to offer it some strength, to offer it some stability on those seams. They love to crack, they love to come apart. So this will give an additional strength to my edges, to my seams. So I'm going to put that down there on the bottom, and then I'm going to put one down the sides as well. Put on that third side. Again, stitching it really, really well together. Making sure they're really, really well joined and smooth. I want to make sure my sides are flat too. Now I'm going to attach the top. And again, stitch the whole thing together, using that knife, using my fingers. Make sure all my seams are perfectly joined. Now I'm going to create a hole to open up the bottle, and I'm going to use a bit of a coil to create the neck of the bottle. So I'm going to score it and slip it and attach it, and use my knife to stitch it all together. Unifying all those pieces, making sure my edges are all secure. I want a little bit of a taller neck on this bottle, so I'm going to go ahead and add another bit of coil. And again, score it, slip it, and then stitch it all together. One more look. Yep, it's looking good. Make sure again all the seams are really well joined. Now what I want to do is create a shape from a slab. I'm going to cut out a shape, and I'm going to use Applique to put it on the outside edge, the outside surface of my bottle. So I'm going to cut out a shape, cut out a symbol so as to indicate the contents of the bottle, the potion. So this one's going to be color. I'm just going to be holding color in my bottle, so I'm going to put a rainbow on the outside. Use some scoring and slipping, and stitch it all together. Give some pressure, make sure it's all well and attached. And that's it. That's how you make a potion bottle.